Working with the mat with Castor for a little bit here. He seems like he does decent with it. Like sometimes he'll step on it, sometimes like he'll step halfway on, but he does know to step on it. And then we are working on also getting him to stay on it. So those are just some of the things we're going to work with the mat. And he's seen the mat before. You've seen his videos before. I have like 3 videos with the mat previously, but he hasn't seen it in a year probably. So like yeah, you can see here like he has one front foot, and the other one's like halfway on, so he's decent, but it's not perfect. So we're just gonna work on getting it a little bit better. So I'm asking him to stand here on the mat so he can just do like behaviors that he likes and knows while he's on the mat. So like he's just standing straight and default, and he can also touch a target and things like that. So I really would like him, like for the mat, he wants to like step off. Like I want him to just kind of step with both front feet like they're like kind of both front feet more even with each other. He was wants that left front either ahead or behind. So that's kind of just like a little detail work is all we're really doing here. Is I'd like him to stand just kind of more straight. And I think one of the issues that I was having with this behavior, it was a little bit more difficult for him, and like if he wasn't completely sure like that it was a foot target. He's used to targeting things with his nose. I'm working on stay a little bit here. He already knows stay, so I'm just kind of adding it to the mat. But I think the difficult part was that he didn't really know that he's supposed to stay with his feet on the mat. So that was another part of it. And then I also increased the reinforcer. So at this point, I'm just using chopped hay, but now I use just a hay cube. So that seems to really help too. He definitely wants to find the mat more often, and I just kind of got stuck giving him the same thing for everything. So that's another thing to look out for is what reinforcer your horse needs for the whatever behavior that they're performing that certain day. It just kind of depends. So but I kind of forgot about that. I was like, oh, I finally found a reinforcer that works well for him, and then I just was like, okay, I didn't even think he needed it. I like a more one that he likes even more for the mat for things that he does. It wasn't just quite getting that well that easily, so did increase that reinforcer for him. So decent amount, decent job with the mat here. So I had asked him to stay, and he thought he was going to follow me. He just got confused. It's no big deal. I'm just going to ask him to go back to where he was. I'm just going to turn him back into that same position. I'm going to re-cue. So not a big deal. There we go. Good. And he stays that time. He has been doing a really great job, honestly. Like you see him at other times where he's just staying and I can leave the pen and get whatever I need. So I'm just going to come back and reinforce him. And I'm just going to ask him again here too because he just got a little confused. So I'm asking again. I did my cue there. So my cue is a forehead touch with my open palm, and then I say whoa. And then I'm just going to bring my mat back, reinforce him. Just because I want to leave with stuff. I think that was the problem, is this is where I started actually taking things out and leaving with things, and he's used to following me, he's not used to staying. So I re-queued him. He thought about coming but he didn't, so that was really good actually. So it's not the end of the world if he didn't figure it out that first time. So I clicked when I threw my mat in there, and then I'm gonna come back and reinforce. So that was actually very good. I'm really happy with that. I'm gonna give him a little bit of a jackpot on the ground here because that was really fantastic. So you can just see something that they're struggling with and just try to train a little bit more, try to make it a little bit clearer for him instead of getting all mad or anything like that, because that's not gonna help anybody. So I'm just gonna let him eat his little jackpot here. So I also worked a little bit on his backup. Like I'm just gonna review here with him following the target. He's really good at that. But I was kind of struggling with having him take more steps because my target's just not long enough, I guess. But he does, so I'm using this hand cue right here to get him to back up. So he does that normal amount of steps, and then I just want to increase it. So he knows the verbal word back, and then I do that just like my fingers are pointing toward him, and then I just kind of move him back and forth. He does know that hand cue as well. So I'm just kind of adding some more steps. So we got a couple steps, and then I'll kind of help him with the target there. He got a little confused. There, I'll click him there. So I was just going to use the fence to help him out, was the idea here, to where he could be a little bit straighter. So I'm just asking him to stand straight and then back up, and I'll just kind of start with just a couple steps because he's not really used to backing up next to the fence, just to show him that is what I wanted. So that looks good. A couple steps there. I'm clicking as he's backing up, as his feet are picking up. ask him again. Can't really see my hand cue, but there it is. There, a little few more steps. Click him there. And he's not super straight. He is better, but he is still off going. Like you can see, he's going to the left of the screen here. So we gotta work. Something we gotta work on. It's not a big deal. I'll get some obstacles will probably help, like him going backing between some things and just kind of working on that straightness and not reinforcing when he's moving, like he's tilting off to one side and going the other way. So that's just another thing that we got to work on. See, there's a lot of movement there. So I might experiment with some different targets and maybe a longer target, maybe backing up to a cone, something like that. But those are just some ideas, and this is kind of just what we were playing with here. I'm trying to get him to straighten out a little bit and turn, and he was a little confused. So that's all right. We got to just think of a couple other things, but that's just one of those things. Like he didn't understand, and so he left. So this is a good indicator. Like this is why I like working at Liberty. He was just like, I don't get it. Maybe I'll come on this other side. He didn't leave. He didn't run away. Like I wasn't putting a bunch of pressure on him or anything. He's just confused. He doesn't know what I want. So I need to come up with a better way to explain what I want to him. And so those are those ideas I just said as far as the backup goes. But I think he needs a little bit more direction. So I think that those ideas of the cones or a longer target's definitely going to help. And I think that's kind of where we need to work on. So then I put him back into position here, and we just did one step for the hand from the hand cue. Asked him to stand still here because then he wants to do too much backup. So again, I need to balance it out with just standing. But yeah, I just went back and just was like, let's do one step, and in response to the hand cue, and then he was thinking too much backup because I asked for a little bit too much. So I'm just gonna ask for him default standing position, and I'm not counting here because he's got his head turned. And yeah, it was just too much because now he's throwing in all these behaviors, and he's just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So he just throws me all these behaviors. So I'm just gonna go back, relax my criteria a little bit, go back to what I was doing before, and still he's I shouldn't have been reinforcing that because I'm just going to make it harder for myself because he's so far tilted inward. And then he's confused because I'm asking him to back up but also going to the side. So yeah, that wasn't a great approach for me because he's just like, I don't get it, I'm going to go behind you. This is just confusing. So I'm just going to take him away from the fence and go back to asking for the backup, and he's still confused. So what I should have done is gone back even further and just worked on, there we go, on the target. And he's not perfectly straight, but it's better. So I should just go back to the target. We'll work on that, and then we need to work on the straightness with the target, and then try those couple other new things. There, now I ask for the hand again because he backed up nicely from the target. Yeah, I mean, he's doing better, like he's going off of that hand cue, but he is very, very crooked, as you can see in this video. So those are the few things I would do, is getting a longer target, working on maybe he can back up to a cone or something, and work on straightness. So that's what we really need to work on.